Hi my angels, and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking all about colour correcting. There's a huge hype for colour correcting at the moment, and it seems like every single brand out there is bringing out colour correcting products, whether that's cream or liquid or powder, whatever it may be. There's so many colour correcting products out on the market. I've been colour correcting for quite a while, and there have definitely been mistakes that I have made, and I kind of wanted to share them all with you. So today I'm going to be doing a video all about do's and don'ts of colour correcting. Now, for those of you who don't really know what colour correcting is, it's basically correcting any areas that you have on your face that you may want to neutralize or cover up. For example, one of the biggest reasons that people colour correct is for dark circles underneath the eyes or any kind of redness on the skin. There are many other reasons that people do colour correct, and I'm going to leave as much information for you guys in the info box below. To start things off, you're probably wondering, what colours do I use to colour correct what? I'm going to put a colour wheel up somewhere around here, which is going to show you guys exactly how this works. For example, if you have any redness on your face that you want to correct, you find the red on the colour wheel and see what colour is directly opposite to that, which is green. So for this example, you would use green to colour correct any redness. For under eyes, where generally people have dark kind of bluey purpley tones, the opposite colour to that on the colour wheel is orangey peachy tones. So that is what you would use to colour correct those areas. So brands in general are bringing out peachy, orangey, lavender, green and yellow colour correctors. But that is the general kind of gist as to why people colour correct and how it actually works. I'm going to go through the colours that generally people use to colour correct. So shades of peaches and oranges are used to colour correct any darkness under the eyes where you may have purpley bluey tones. The colour green is used to correct any kind of redness that you may have on your skin. Generally people use it when they have a lot of redness on the skin around maybe the mouth, or perhaps even rosacea on the cheeks. Lilac, lavender, purple, whatever you want to call it, this colour is used to correct any sallow areas. So these are kind of the areas which are looking a little bit greyish or dull, and that's used to kind of brighten the skin. Personally, I don't really use lavender as much, but if you feel that lavender does the trick for you, then definitely go ahead and use it. Last but not least, yellow is used to brighten the skin. I generally do this pretty much all the time. Once I've got my whole face on, I will use lighter colours underneath my eyes. I generally just use a lighter concealer in like the center portion of my face, and sometimes I will actually set my face with a yellow tone powder, something like the banana powder by Ben Nye or my Kick Ass Soap and Glory powder. So before this intro gets way too long, let's jump straight into the do's and don'ts that I personally would like to share with you all for colour correcting. So before we get into the do's and don'ts of colour correcting, we want to make sure that we start off with clean and primed skin. First things first is using the right colour correctors. If there's certain things that don't need correcting on your skin, don't get confused by all the colours, just use what you need. The darker orangey shades are for people with a darker complexion, and the peachy tones are for the lighter olive skin, so always bear that in mind. Next up is brushes versus fingers. Now, I, throughout the years, always used to apply my correctors with brushes in comparison to my fingers. And personally, for me, it makes a huge difference when I use my fingers because it causes my makeup to look a lot lighter. So on the don't side here, I'm going to be applying this MAC Orange corrector, which is the wrong colour for my skin, with a 3D kabuki brush from Sigma. So here you can see me applying that away, and you can already tell it's kind of creating a very thick layer on my skin. On the do side, I'm going to be using this YSL corrector, and I'm just simply using my finger to blend that and mesh that into my skin, and this is also going to warm up the product, so it's going to look a lot more natural. And speaking of layers, we want to be working in thin layers. You do not want to apply a crap load of product onto your skin because you're not going to be able to blend this out properly, and it's going to seep through underneath your foundation. You want to make sure that you're working in thin layers. If you feel like you need more coverage and correction, then you can go in with more product, but always start with less product and build your way up. It's so important to use what your skin needs. For example, the lilac corrector isn't really something that everyone tends to need to use, so don't feel like you need to use this. So here again, I'm applying it on to the high points of my cheekbones, and also up into my hairline, when really I could just use a different coverage of foundation in those areas, or a slightly heavier coverage, just so that I'm masking any areas where I feel like they are a little bit sallow. Here, just for example's sake, I am adding a very, very, very thin layer to those same areas that I applied on the don't side, just to show you guys that little really does go a long way. Now the same goes for the green shade, it pretty much goes for every single shade. If you don't have dark circles, you don't need to correct anywhere, so don't apply any kind of correctors when you don't need them and your skin just doesn't need them, because it's just going to make your makeup look cakey. Here I'm using the YSL corrector on the do side, again working in very thin layers, because the whole point of color correcting is to color correct, and you don't want to mask anything and conceal anything. And this actually takes me on to the next point, which is so important, and that is you want to correct and you don't want to conceal. So right here you can see me trying to get rid of the pigmentation around my mouth. We don't want to cover this up, we simply want to correct it. So by using all of these tips that I've already included in this video, working in thin layers, working with your fingers, we are gonna basically correct those areas rather than covering them up and basically making our makeup look super cakey and very noticeable as well through the foundation. So always work in thin layers and kind of work with different techniques. Here you can see the don't side, it looks very bad, and the corrected side, which just looks like my skin but better. The last tip I have is something that I used to do mistakes on so much when I used to color correct, and that is buffing your foundation on top. This is the worst thing you could possibly do once you've color corrected, because all you're doing here is you're moving all of that hard work that you've done with color correcting your skin, and you're just moving all the product around. So it's not going to do the job. If anything, you're probably going to look slightly orange or green in areas that you don't want to be looking like that in, and it really doesn't do any good to all the work that you've just done. So here you can see a close-up of the areas around, like underneath my eye and my mouth, which still look orange. What you want to do is you want to grab something like a beauty blender or a Real Techniques makeup sponge, and you want to bounce your foundation onto your face. By doing this, you're pressing the foundation onto your skin where you've already color corrected. So you're not going to be moving any of that color corrector around on your skin. And basically all of that hard work that you've done with color correcting isn't going to go to waste. If anything, your skin is going to look and feel like skin, and it's not going to look cakey either. And here I'm going to be showing you a close-up of just how great my skin looks even though I've color corrected. On the don't side, you can definitely see patches of orangeness, and it just looks a bit ashy and not great, and especially in certain areas like around my mouth and underneath my eyes, whereas the other side looks perfectly corrected. So that is the end of the video, you guys. I really hope you enjoyed my do's and don'ts of color correcting. Just remember, if certain techniques work for you, then go ahead and do them. These are just my personal favorite ways that I like to color correct my skin. And I also wanted to share with you guys the things that I used to do, which really didn't do any justice for my skin. So these are the two sides of my face. Obviously on camera, it looks pretty normal, but when I look at it up close on a mirror, this side definitely looks less cakey, whereas this side here, you can kind of see like some orangey areas, and it definitely looks a lot thicker in certain areas as well in terms of product that's on my skin. If you guys have any color correcting tips of your own, then please don't forget to share them in the comments section below, and don't forget to share your favorite color correcting products as well, because I'm sure everyone who watches this video will definitely find everyone's help really appreciative. And I will also link my favorite color correcting products in the info box below in case you guys want to try something else. So with that being said, I feel like I've covered almost everything. If I have left anything out, then make sure you check the info box below. And I guess that is all for now, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!